Is it just me or is it just coincidence that it's the Venezuela dress down day, the day of my speech? Just pointing that out. Today, I want to talk about the power of a choice. People like to have choices. People like to have the freedom to choose what they want. That makes sense. Having the freedom to make our own choices is essential because we feel as we're in control of our own lives. We're the captains of our own ships. But have you ever thought that sometimes the more choices we're given, the less satisfied we become with the one we make? You see, when we're given so many choices, our mindset switches. It makes us overwhelmed because now instead of focusing on simply making a decision, we become obsessed on ensuring we don't make the wrong one. So what exactly do we do in these situations? How can we determine which choice is best without regretting the other choices we didn't make? Well, unfortunately, you can't know. Because at least I've never met anyone who can tell you exactly how your life will unfold depending on the choices you make. You just have to make a choice and roll with it. This realization came from a very unexpected time. Last year, I was part of a team of students who went to Western Ivy to compete at a case competition. We were put into groups with individuals from different schools, which meant we're being challenged to work with people that we had quite frankly never met. I was placed in a group of 8 students, and the only one I knew was my good friend Christian. Each team was given a case study of 10 pages, and by the end of the day, our goal was to present a marketing pitch to a panel of judges. If you were to ask Christian and I, we would most certainly tell you that we led that team to success, especially Christian. But looking back, I've realized that the reason we had so much success wasn't completely due to our leadership, but there was someone else who had a huge influence. This boy's name was Andre. Andre was one of the quieter individuals in the group, and he felt a little nervous, and he kind of hesitated every time he wanted to share an idea. But Andre saved us big time. And what did he do that was so special? He simply made a choice. See, when you're given a 10-page report on the marketing challenges an enormous car company like Porsche is facing, you quite literally have no idea where to start. The case outlined dozens of issues only being followed by dozens of different potential solutions. And being so invested into this competition, we wanted to find the perfect solution. We analyzed every square inch of the case, debating which strategy was the best for literally over an hour. Yet we got nowhere. Every choice had its pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages, which make it impossible to find an evident and clear perfect choice. While we debated all the options, Andre created half the PowerPoint. He listened to all the gibberish we were talking about and made something out of it. And so we took what he started, finished the marketing plan, and developed a winning pitch. He made those choices when nobody else did. But even more importantly, he felt confident about it. And why is this story important? Well, for you senior ones, you're all in the peak of leadership application season. As much as you want to fit in everything about how adequate you are for these positions into one resume, I hate to break it to you, but you won't be able to fit it all. You're going to have to choose which strengths and experiences you want to focus in on, which best reflect the candidate you are. And for the senior twos, well, I'm assuming almost all of you are planning on going to university. And regardless of whether you've accepted one or not, I feel like everyone here can take something away from Andre. University is a huge decision. It takes a lot to finally click that button, which signifies a commitment to that one school for the next 4 years. It's important to do good research on each school and take your time thinking which choice is best for you. I definitely know I spend a little too much time at guidance. But at one point, you have to make that choice. And the day you do, you can't get caught up on the journeys and experiences you've potentially missed out on for not choosing any of the other options. As most of you know, I accepted McGill University the day after I got admitted, and man, I can't even tell you how many people told me to wait until May. Or, maybe at least give it a week. But in all honesty, I haven't regretted my decision for one moment. And that's because I'm convinced I made the right choice for me. Yes, Western has an awesome social life and an amazing program to top it off. UBC has the most magical campus I've ever seen. Well, at least in pictures, because not really been there. And the University of Toronto offered me access to the largest metropolitan city in Canada. I'm sure I would have loved going to any of these schools, but I can't let myself look back and think how different my life could unfold if I'd chosen any other but McGill. So trust yourself, your research, and quite frankly, your gut, and make that choice. Because as Dr. Phil McGraw once said, sometimes you make the right decision, and sometimes you make the decision right. See, in the stories I just shared, people had the power of choosing. They could make that choice. But as you know, there are many times in life where you can't choose what happens around you or the situation you're in. But if there's one thing I've learned from my mother, and believe me, I learned a lot from her, is that it's all up here. Despite not being in control of the circumstances, you always have the power to choose the mindset you approach it with. Always. I've had the privilege of learning this by growing up in an environment where most of the people around me lived off of far less than I did. I've had a chance to live in developing countries such as Venezuela, Brazil, and Puerto Rico. As well, I'm guessing most of you don't know this about me, but I'm Colombian, and I spend every Christmas break back at home where my entire family lives. This journey has taught me far more than Spanish, Portuguese, and dancing salsa. It has shown me that despite the challenging and financial social struggles, people in Latin America choose a powerful mindset to approach the situation they were given. They choose to value aspects of life people like us simply take for granted. This became very vivid to me last year on my service trip to Argentina. The first day we landed in Cordoba, we encountered our first problem. We pulled up to our hotel, and as soon as we were assigned rooms, we did the first thing any Canadian boy or girl would do. Let's see if my acting skills paid off, but good morning, sir. I was just wondering what the password for the Wi-Fi is. I mean, we needed to keep our friends updated on how much fun we were having while they were all studying for academic week. Well, here's the actual problem. The Wi-Fi only worked in the lobby. Yeah, which meant if I had to get out of my bed and walk all the way to the lobby to Snapchat my friends. Anyways, we made it work and moved on with our day. Yet the next day is when it all really hit me. We traveled to the outskirts of Cordoba to renovate an impoverished nursery. Culturally, Argentinians are far more physical than Canadians, and these children wanted to touch us and hug us, which at first made me feel really uncomfortable, as they wore dirty clothes, hadn't showered in days, and smelled poorly. Yet when I started playing with them, I realized how happy they were. They were genuinely happy for having someone to play with. They would genuinely smile for physically having food on their plate. And that's when I realized that not having Wi-Fi is not a problem at all. When we first walked into that hotel, we simply didn't even acknowledge the fact that we had a bed, a shower, and a safe place to stay. And that's because we expected to have those things. But for these kids, they would be genuinely happy for having a mattress or a place to clean themselves. But despite not having these things, these children live happily because of the way they value what they have. As we went to their school and did something we consider service, they didn't see it as service, but rather a time to share with other people and have fun. They enjoy sliding down the exact same slide every day. And they enjoy having one soccer ball for their entire community. And for me, that's the magic of many people in South America. the way in which they, despite not having these privileges we do, can live equally as happy as we can. I've said a lot, but I really want all of you to take away 2 things today. First, make your choices and make them great, not looking back. Because for every single choice you make, there are many others which you simply didn't. You don't know the result of a single choice. It's a mystery. So quite honestly, don't worry about it. Do your research and take your time to think about it. But when you make that choice, don't you dare look back. Own it and continue moving forward. Because if we live our whole lives regretting the choices we never took and consistently think about the lives we could have potentially lived, we will never truly enjoy the life we're living right now. And secondly, I challenge all of us to find happiness in the little things. All around the world, there are millions of people who would give up everything. And by everything, I mean everything for the opportunities we were given. What we've learned to see as expected, for them is far beyond a dream. Yet they live so happily. See, when I lived in Rio de Janeiro, my family and I would walk through Copacabana, one of the most beautiful beaches in South America. And there was this man. This man walked the beach every single day, multiple times, selling ice cream. I specifically remember this because my favorite was the banana popsicle. The guy wore old clothing, no shoes, and looked very unhygienic. And despite having yellow broken down teeth, he held a huge smile every time he saw me. One day I asked my dad, how can that man be so happy? He said, well, what reason does he have not to be? I responded, well, he's poor, dirty, and probably doesn't have a nice home to go to at the end of every day. My dad smiled and responded, yeah, sure. He might not have a huge house and a sports car. He doesn't own fancy clothing either. But he's realized he has something far better than that. Every morning, that man wakes up and gets to walk one of the most beautiful beaches in the entire world, making kids smile with his ice cream. So really, what is there not to be happy about? Now, could you please all join me in singing hymn 460?